I'm sorry, we'll switch out next time. You guys get a little bit of a break from these two.
So,
everyone's favorite.
Not incredibly a lot to talk about tonight, but we got Plains War recap. We're going to talk about some of the placings and stuff like that. Some stuff we noticed from a player's standpoint and a TO standpoint. We're going to be going over, some
post tournament
spiel, and then we're going to be going into some hypotheticals with lists and different armies and stuff like that.
Which honestly is something you always have to do after a tournament. You got to reevaluate things.
That's how we got Kyle here. And then, we're going to talk about what's coming up, and and that should kind of conclude. So, please, we encourage you guys to drop some chatter. I see there is a lot already. Very good, very exciting. Welcome to the chat, everybody. So don't be afraid to chime in. We will try and answer as many questions as we can. So let's
that goes for the Twitch chat as well, of course.
Twitch and Facebook.
Yep.
Let's jump right on in. So, Plains
War.
Last weekend.
Whew, that was a whirlwind.
39 players of 40 after 12 drops.
Didn't we start with 40 and then it kind of like...
We started with 40. We kept dropping
up and down and up and down. Yep.
And we finished at 39 on the day of. But
and 37 by the time we were
done. And 37 by the end of day 2.
Couple
guys dropped, and honestly, they're both just sick. So there's nobody that actually dropped out. Our format allows anybody to really be in contention for any award up until the very end. So we encourage people not to drop and lose faith after day 1.
Both painting, sportsmanship points, those are very important as well as your battle score.
Yeah. So let's get right into it. Let's start with Kyle. Kyle brought in Demons, his go-to.
I brought my Zinch Demons, my favorite of armies.
So, thoughts? What do you think? I guess maybe go through the event, like in terms of talk about like terrain, how
Absolutely,
your list, what you
absolutely.
chose to bring, despite I know your
My salt towards
your
it
salt
lately?
towards
Yes,
your
yes,
your
absolutely.
decks, and
I'm okay
and
with
then
that.
maybe talk through a couple of your games, not like just briefly kind of go through all your games and kind of how they went.
Well,
Stuff like that.
I'll start off with the list construction. Seems like an easy place to jump in. I was hoping this event to be running a pure Zinch Stevens list, highlight it with my 2 Lords of Change, have Fate Weaver, and my regular Lord of Change out there, and my usual mix of Flamers, Chariots, Screamers, that kind of thing, the general all Zinch. When I was playtesting it, and especially once the FAQ and the Deep Strike restrictions came out, I was pretty stuck. It hampered most of the strategies I put together for the list. It could still work, but I didn't feel it had the punch or the maneuverability to deal with what was out there.
Okay.
Maybe rely on a Thousand Sun Supreme Command attachment, 3 Zinch Demon Princes, and Magnus.
Okay.
So Saul's Pop, Saul's Psychic, gives me a little more survivability in terms of a guy who can get a -1 to hit on him instead of my Changeling 6-up Feel No Pain. So I was going in with what I thought was the best tool for what I had available.
Okay.
With that in mind, middling in terms of results for the event, but I had a great time against all the guys I played. I lost 3 games, I won 2. 2 of the losses were close. One, Dan blew me out 34-17. It was like a 2-to-1 point ratio.
Really?
for
Because every
Dan.
time I went to Dan's tables, his flyers would fly in a formation and all miss.
Yeah.
I watched it.
No, he wasted it
Anyway.
all on the first one.
Oh,
Game 1
okay.
against me.
He blew his
Yeah.
load early.
Oh yeah, he took Magnus, he
The
took
Dan-
the Princes.
Dan style.
Yeah, there was no problems for him in that game.
Okay. Cool.
I had a good game too against Tyranids. Again, great opponent. It was unfortunately really weighed in my direction. There wasn't a lot of chance for that Tyranid list other than shutting down my Psychic, and a few times that failed.
Who was the Nid player? Was that? That wasn't Andrew. That wasn't Webb, was it?
No, that wasn't Andrew. He was the Sisters player I played
Okay.
before.
Then it
I'm
was-
terrible with names, so I'm gonna forget.
It was
He
the
plays
red-
with
it was the
RTC.
red Nids,
Yes,
right?
The red Nids.
I don't know. We'll find out. Oh, gee, no. Whatever. Keep going. Anyway.
Yeah. Anyway.
Okay.
Third game I had Mark.
We've lost.
Breaking equipment.
We've lost Kyle. Oh no. It's okay. Anyway, so we'll get back to Kyle. Kyle's having some technical difficulties. Brenden, well, you conquered Best General, Astra Militarum, your go-to. If Kyle's not back, we're gonna. I don't even know. How do we do this? I don't know. I'm new to this.
Okay, there, we're
right, back to Kyle.
All right.
Don't do that again.
Don't do it. I move too much when I talk is the problem. Too intense. Yeah, so long story short of what I'm coming to here, I had a very good tournament, although we have this wonderful picture of me being salty at the end of my third game. If producer Matt can bring
Producer
this
Matt,
up.
aka photographer, paparazzi Matt.
Yes, here we go.
Snipe this bad boy.
So end of turn 3, and here I am against Mark.
I think it's Mark LePage.
Yeah, LePage. Wonderful
Big.
guy. He was a good player. We played an excellent game. What got me salty here was we had 10 minutes left at the end of turn 4. We pushed through our last 2 turns. We got through turn 6. I managed to score 3 points in that period, and he scored 11, which pushed him to a 29-26 win. Absolutely the correct decision to make. We should absolutely have gone through those turns, but at that point, I was at peak frustration with my list, and I was like, I don't want to say anything bad. Thank you. You were a good guy, but man, am I salty right now. But it was a good game. Like, when I reflect on it, there's no point where I'm like, oh God, he screwed me, or oh, I'm really mad about this. It's just, oh, list frustration.
The struggle.
And day 2 was similar. I had a win, I had a loss. Again, good guys. I played against Andrew Webb and his sisters, and then I played against John and his guard and shield captains. The shield captains.
Did you practice against them a couple times?
Oh, like 5 games, and he beat me every time except the first one where we tied. Because he didn't know how to deal with Magnus
He didn't know how to use his stuff yet.
Yeah, and then after he learned what Magnus did, that was it. Every game after that, I was done.
He knew who had to die first, right?
Well, that's
and
all
he
right.
knew how to shut him down. He knew which powers to look for. It was pretty obvious.
Playing that many games against the same person,
You figure it
kind
out.
of figure it out. But that's all right.
Oh,
That's okay.
absolutely.
So
But,
overall,
yeah. overall, personally, really good event for my list. Not a great showing. I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
The list isn't going to have a good showing every time.
No, especially when there's FAQ. Every time an FAQ has dropped thus far since your book has been out.
It was to nerf Chaos Soup.
You have
but
been
it
getting
hit me. It
yeah,
hit
you've been
me.
getting
Yeah.
whacked.
Yeah.
So.
But
No,
that's what
it's-
happens when you play Mono Demons. It's a risk you take.
Yeah. And that's always the struggle, right? Like everyone hates the soup, but it's like, well, if I play one faction,
It's effective.
and if
Yeah.
you play one thing by itself, and you start getting hit with the nerfs all the time, like there's no way to make that back. You're just getting knocking down pegs.
Yeah.
Anyway,
And the last thing you want is frustration to keep building.
no, absolutely. So I mean, it is what it is. I understand. We'll get into what your
That's another
your new
topic.
projects are.
Yeah,
We'll get into
that's
that.
a topic for later.
But Brenden,
This
so,
is the gentleman
so
that
as we talked
everyone
about,
wants to hear from.
so if you guys haven't seen the article yet, he what was it called? Sorry, the
Oh,
page.
Oh God.
too long.
Yeah, I can't
And we're
remember
over
it.
it. It's okay. And so
We will have that.
Yeah, we'll
name
get
drop
that. So-
shortly.
what?
Worthiest adversary.
Right. So, a blog online. The guy's name's Red reached out to us. One from a TO's perspective, and then he actually interviewed Brenden. So if you haven't read up on Brendan's kind of synopsis of his event and kind of how he came to his list and stuff like that, it's all there. It's actually really good. I encourage you all to read it.
Yeah, I thought it was a pretty insightful article overall.
But Brenden, give us some of your feedback
yeah, you're here.
and thoughts
You're here.
from
Let's
the
hear
event.
directly from you.
Some of your highs, your lows, some TSN turning points. I know of one that I actually was standing there for, so I hope you talk about it.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, Brenden was our best general. He kept it in him and
With a pure Astra Militarum.
with a pure Astra Militarum list, yeah, which he's been tuning for a long time, so he knows it pretty much inside and out,
Yeah.
which is really for events like this.
You
kinda
really
what you
put
need.
yourself up to the position as preeminent guard player.
yeah.
You made everyone else have to challenge you now.
But the floor
job.
is the
Winnipeg
floor is
is
yours.
after you, Brenden.
The floor is yours. Go.
Yeah. Thanks. Yeah. So where am I gonna start? The list itself was, I gotta say, it was something I started 8th edition with. I remember with the index, it was
a little
more
trickier.
artillery. Lehman Russes weren't as good as as I was hoping they would be. I kind of realized that after I went to a tournament down in the States, that the Russes just didn't do the work that I needed them to do.
Yeah.
Like they just where Basilisk would
They
give you
weren't putting
the
out enough firepower. at
yeah,
that
the
point.
Basilisk would have like 2d6 take the highest. Manticores would have like 2d6 shots flat, like,
Yeah.
and you could hide them behind things, which was huge. So it was kind of hard. But it was when the Guard Codex came out, and they came out with grinding advance, and they changed
Yes,
the points on the
yes.
Russes, and they made the Executioners, when they don't overheat, like when they overheat,
It doesn't
they don't
kill the
take
model.
6 wounds and you can't
Yeah.
fire plasma anymore.
Yeah.
You take a single wound because they blast with the plasma events, you keep firing. So it's like, oh crap, I remember seeing that, I'm like, this could be something that make work. So anyways, the games themselves, I will tell you, they were...
Now, your first one.
My first one was, first of all, there was so many Chaos there. I'll talk about the statistics later, but there was a decent amount of Chaos players. I never came across them once.
Oh,
which is
yeah, they all
like,
shuffle towards me. Thanks.
yeah, the Chaos fought Chaos. That's the way I like it.
Chaos in the middle.
Guard win no matter who.
Guard
who
always
wins.
win.
But my first game was against Noah Joseph, I believe.
Yep.
Fantastic local guy. I actually had bought some Bretonians off Noah years ago.
Many moons ago.
And so
After
many
Bretonian
moves.
fever caught you, and they
Yeah,
haven't
they-
shuffled over to Legends yet.
Yeah. And I met up with him, and we got matched for our game, and I'm like, I got the 2 teachers facing off, game 1. Let's do this. He brought a Tau list, which was more of a balanced list. He didn't over-invest into one thing. He had like multiple scoring units of Fire Warriors. He had like drone squads. He only had a single Riptide. He definitely had the tools he needed to if he needed to hit objectives.
Was
which
he
was
running
He had a
nice?
mixed list.
He had
like
a
definitely
mixed
Is
list.
he doing Taucept, or did he have a
He
different
was
one?
using Viola, the one
Okay,
where you
that was
can
the
run.
other- yeah.
He went for a more like quick-moving Tau list that could hit the objectives.
Said no Tower player ever.
Oh, I know, but it was interesting. I actually never found out how he did on the rest of his games, but that game was a really good game.
He placed 23rd overall, so he has 2,094 points, so he had 2 wins.
2 wins.
So he went 2 and 3.
Nice.
And picked up a decent number of points in the games.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I mean, he had it was a pretty interesting list, one that wasn't expected.
Absolutely.
But I asked him, like, the first thing I said to him, because I couldn't remember, I'm like,
Matt,
drones
let's
are separate
keep
from
best
the unit,
general up
right?
for now, please.
Yeah, I asked him, I'm like, drones are separate from the unit, right? He's like, yep. I'm like, well, now no one needs to die. So I was like literally hitting all of the shield drones with mortars, and that way I could start shooting at his broadsides and his riptide.
Yeah, yeah.
And then it was like he had a good first turn against me, and then I kind of hit him, and then he had another good second turn. And then it was like my bottom of the second turn where that's when I really hit him, and he just couldn't recover from it.
Yeah,
I still
then
had a
you had
decent
him to
amount of
roll it
stuff.
up.
And I picked up from there. So he was a hell of a good opponent, and it was a hell of a good first game.
So
what
before we
about-
jump into your second game
So what about game
here,
second? Yeah, second game.
we do have a question from the
Oh,
Twitch
yeah.
chat
Yeah.
from Urbanov. He was asking, was there a list you were worried about facing? And your list, was it constructed more as an all-around list?
I brought my list to be more all around. Like I didn't want it to be like, I didn't want to have a single matchup where I went into it or like I would see the army and I'd be like, oh man, how am I going to deal with this? I wanted to be like, I have this unit that can deal with this unit that can deal with this unit. And then basically go from there, like know what I needed to hit and kill to eliminate. There were, don't get me wrong, there were some tough lists.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And I'm not going to lie, like 4 out of my 5 games were against fast-moving assault armies that could easily close the distance with me in a turn.
Yeah.
And I was really surprised by that. Noah was the only guy that he and I had a shooting contest, which I came out on.
Really?
Top, yeah. All my other games were like moving and getting closer to me and trying to tie me up.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Was there anything that I was like too concerned about? I would say no. The only thing that really I think would be Alatok Eldar. And I think that's a problem for everyone with
That
their
is.
minuses. But there
we
were
didn't see a
elements,
lot.
yeah, and there were elements of my list that I took to do that, which is mortal wounds with psychers and hellhounds, to flame anything that
Minuses to hit, don't care.
Yeah, I played a couple practice games, and the hellhounds were invaluable. Just being able, like, there was I played one of our local guys, Steve Rayner, and he had these hornets that could get -3 if
those
he
things
advanced.
are so nasty.
And I just literally did mortal wounds and used the hellhounds. So I'm like, I automatically hit, so I was able to hit them and destroy
Blow
them.
them off.
So that's what really
Okay.
helped.
For sure.
My game 2
Yes.
was against a gentleman from Grand Forks.
So
His
was your
name
third
was-
game, correct?
Yes. both
So
of them.
2 of the Grand Forks guys ran into you.
Yeah, those guys are. I've seen them before in the past. I know
Yes.
they're like
They
big.
have come up for our events before when they were able.
Yeah.
So
like
who did you
they're-
play second? Was it Kyle or Chad?
Chase.
Or Chase?
Chase.
Whoops.
I played Chase Garber. He was running Dark Eldar with. He ran more of a homunculus kind of army with.
Oh, yeah, I remember seeing that one.
Yeah, he had grotesques and witches and a variety of other things. And this game, he got first turn, and yeah, he moved up the board. He really neutered Pask,
Yeah.
and he was kind of
Which
in my
you've been
face.
prepared for now.
Oh yeah, like
Yeah.
Pask is in my list. Like he's great to have, but he's definitely not like if he
He's not
dies,
a
I'm
keystone
kind of
like he used to be.
screwed.
Yeah.
It's like no, I could still operate with my tank commander, my other 2 Russes. Which I gotta say, like Pask, he did a couple wounds to a raider, and then he proceeded to get killed. I think 3rd turn after he got tied up. Like I had to back him away. He still did orders, but it was like the regular Leman Russes and the Punisher.
They did.
Oh my god.
They did it.
The Punisher, my favorite moment of that game was there was an Archon. I had done mortal wounds throughout. He had 1 wound left, but he still had his 2-up shield.
Yeah.
And I literally was just like, yeah, I'm going to pump out 40 shots with my Punisher. into
Just
him.
to see what
He's
happens.
the only thing I can see right now, so I'm like, might as well kill him and get rid of a blaster. And I'm just like, he just was rolling them quickly. He's like, oh, there's my 1, there's my shield, no pain, failed. Okay, he's dead. It was just like,
So
wiped
fast.
him out with 40 shots. But that game was
40 shots, no
I'm
big
like,
deal.
That's why you take a Punisher.
I'm like, feels good, man. But that was another tough game because he was in my face quickly.
Very strategic.
But yeah, literally
Yeah.
came, like my guardsmen literally just grinded him out, and my Russes did the damage they needed to do. Like blowing up raiders, killing his racks, killing those, the things that really scared me were the grotesques, because they're T5, they have a 4-up invuln, and they get the 6-up feel no pain, and they're 4 wounds. I'm like, man, that's the scariest thing. But no, like that was the thing in his army that did the least amount of damage to myself.
Really?
Which was just, yeah, that was the thing that was most
Is it because I
worried
couldn't
about.
get there?
Yeah, like there was one turn he moved him right up in the middle of the board, and my Punisher, I shot into them with the Punisher with all 49 shots
Didn't do
because I
it.
have heavy bolters.
Yeah.
No, I killed him.
Oh,
Killed him to a man.
nice.
I was like, sweet. I think I might have used overlapping fields of fire, so he was hitting on 2s.
There you go.
And
That'll
then I
do it.
also used, I took Relic of Lost Kate in each one of my games. So like on maybe turn 1 or turn 2, I needed a critical round of shooting. So it's nice just to have the reroll once to wound.
So 3rd game. You were against
Third game.
Kyle that game?
Kyle, yeah. Now Kyle was running that list that I know a lot.
The shield captains, the flamers.
Yeah, it was that list that I've heard a lot of. We take the supreme command of shield captains on the bikes, obviously. You
Well,
take
yes.
a battalion of Blood Angels with 2 Hammer Fist
It's the
captains.
Hammer Captains that
and
they're
then
there for,
the Blood Angel Scouts to push back anything that likes to move forward. And then you had a battalion of Guard just to get cheap command points and cheap objective holders. And this was the only game in the tournament that I actually was able to go first. And it really helped me. Oh, he had 5 Hellhounds. So like the first turn, I think I killed 2 Hellhounds, or killed 1, brought one down to like 1 or 2 wounds.
Excellent.
And so like his Hellhounds weren't a big issue because by the time he moved them up the board again, I pretty much killed them all except for 1.
Yeah.
The only thing and I was able to kill like his guardsmen and his scout squads pretty easily. The one thing that really was a pain in my butt was the shield captains.
As they're there for.
That's the idea.
Like they're actually,
So
I could see where people come from saying that they're too cheap for what you get because you get a toughness 6 model with 7 wounds with a 2-up, and he was rocking 3-up saves on 2 of them.
Yep.
And they
there's
have
2 relics that you
crazy
toss
movement
in.
for 160 points. I'm like, I can see why people take these.
Sure.
They're really good.
Sure, for 480
Absolutely.
points, that'll round out any Imperialist.
Yeah.
Easy.
Exactly.
No, for sure.
Oh, absolutely. But what helped me out was my Psychers. My Psychers did mortal wounds on them.
That's how I ended
and
up dealing with them.
My Hellhounds, like I just pushed them up and got him in his face, so they were a pain, and he kind of had to deal with them because he didn't have a lot of long-range firepower, so he assaulted them with like Blood Angels, Smash Fist, Captain stuff. Like I had
And those
2
are crazy good captains.
Oh yeah. I had 2 Hellhounds, both blew up, but he used the same shield captain to hit both of them, and I just mortal wound them out with the explosions from Hellhounds, which was just so useful.
Nice.
I killed him with that, and then the shield captain's mortal wounds. But one clutch moment of the game was he had Mephiston,
Yes.
who was right in front of
Yes.
3 of my
This is
Lehman
what Fabio was
Rushes.
waiting on.
And my Punisher, I was like, my Punisher had nothing else. Like it was like either Mephiston or a shield captain. I'm like, I got better odds than Mephiston because I need 3s to hit, 4s to wound.
Absolutely.
So I did like 2 or 3 wounds. I think I did 2 wounds out of all like 49 shots. Then I had a battle cannon Lehman Rush shoot to him. Did like another wound or 2 or something. And he was down to 2 wounds. And he still had like a shield captain running around somewhere. He had 2 other ones like coming up my flanks. And I was like, oh god, shoot 2 side spawns and plasmas at him. Shoot everything else at the other one. Or use 1. Because the other shield captain had like 5 wounds left. I'm like, oh my
how
god.
many shots do you weigh?
How do I do this? And I was like, no. Pass got this. He's reliable. So I'm like, 1 plasma cannon side sponsoring onto him. I think I got 2 shots, both hit, both wounded. He failed both saves. He had 4 feel no pain saves and just melted Mephiston. I was like, yes,
that feels good.
die.
Yeah, but
feels
then
good.
and you still killed the
And
shield
then
captain,
everything
right?
else went in the shield captain and killed him too. And I'm like, oh, pass, just give him a
I
nice
keep
pat.
telling
Good job,
people-
buddy.
Broke the tank.
Pass
Good.
in the plasma is an excellent way to go.
I know people talk. Well,
Yeah.
people are like, pass is such a heavy point sink and blah blah blah. He can easily be killed. And it's like absolutely. But if you get him behind good line of sight blocking terrain, like first turn, you don't have to have him visible to the opponent's army right off the bat. I mean, again, I don't want ever don't ever design a list relying on pass because he's died in my games.
gonna get shot
and
and
yeah,
die.
people are gonna. Sometimes they have the range to get him. Sometimes they don't. And he died in 2 out of 5 games that I played. But that game he was clutch. And this was just something funny at the very end. So I wanted to get line breaker, and I was like, the guy I was up against, he's like, I don't know if you'll be able to do it. And I'm like, wait. I think there's an order in this book somewhere that lets me go farther. And so I went to my book. I'm like, yeah, full throttle. So Pask went 20 inches to get line breaker. He just did it all. But it was just like, it was that one order I never thought I'd ever use. And it just came to me. I'm like, I think he has this because he had it in the last couple editions, but I never used it. And I was
now
like, sure
it
enough.
worked for you.
Yeah, it got me line breaker. It was just one of those funny moments.
So let's
I
get
loved the
to
game.
Game 4.
Yeah.
Let's
Beginning
couple
of the
highlights in
second
each
day,
game.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Game 4 was against Jason's Harlequin army.
I think that's the picture we've got.
Yes, that was against the Harlequins.
Against the Harlequins.
I think I rolled like a 6, which is the beer on our
Brenden
dice.
looks
and I
really
was
upset
just
in
like-
that picture. I don't think the game's going well.
I was about to do like a flex. I was like, beard! Like my shirt. But
Caught you in the mid.
that game was like, it was one of those
Mid-flex.
games where I just had to like assemble the meat shield and hope he couldn't hit my tanks,
Yep.
which I deployed them properly in defensive right the back. I put enough bodies in front. So Jason at first turn, in my face, assaulted my guard block. And then I literally, like, my turn, since everything was in my deployment zone pretty much, it was like all my guns had range to whatever I needed to. I proceeded to kill like
just unload.
3/4 of Jason's army.
Volume of fire.
Yeah, it was literally volume of fire. And again, the Hellhounds, it's like, it really helps against those -1s. Totally ignore them. It was a hell of a good game. And it was one of those things, if he could have got my tanks, I'd have been screwed. It was just the fact that he was in my face and I was able to use some psychic powers, but good stratagem usage and just...
Sounds like when I run Magnus against guard, I got to get through that chafe before I can do
the
anything
chafe.
valuable.
And then game 5 was against Mike Knutson, who was playing Dark Eldar, which he had like a lot of boats and a lot of things in boats, and he had
Boats
witches
and
to get up the board and tie my stuff up,
Yeah,
which he
really.
did. But I gotta say, the guardsmen were flipping awesome that game. He assaulted my units and tied them up, and he was able to kill one unit outright with 2 5-man units of witches. Then he moved into another unit to tie up, and they like killed one. And then in my turn, I tried to run away, and he caught me. So I'm like, fine. In my order phase, I'm like, fix bayonets, kill another 2, and then the assault phase killed the other 2. I was like, yes. It was just one of those cool moments. Like, at least for me. Yeah, they were just able to grind them out.
This never happens.
It's like, we're killing things, Sarge. But
I'm not used to this at all.
yeah, how are we winning right now? But yeah, Pass died like turn 1 that game, but it was literally the Punisher again. It's nice when your opponent runs toughness 5 boats because the Punisher can just turn.
Yeah.
But it was like, again, it was like Hellhounds, Psychic Powers, and then the Lehman Russes kind of just picked it up. The 2 battle cannon ones, they were. There was one moment for Mike where I hit one of his Raiders, which had disintegrators, killed it. This is like my turn 1, blew it up. And he had already used his reroll dice, so it actually exploded. It did mortal wounds and stuff around him. And then when I killed then the next turn I killed another one, and that one blew up, and he already used it. And then the third one was looking like it was about to do that too, but no, it didn't. It just died. But it was like,
3 for 3.
yeah, disintegrators were.
Disintegrators are nasty things.
They're nasty things to deal with. But I was kind of happy I had the amount of armor that I did because they struggle against armor. If they get through, they'll do wounds, but
Absolutely.
it's kind of hard. Anyways, at the end of the day, like all my games were like really good, and it was nice to see that my list could take on fast-moving armies. Like they're in my face turn 1, but I still had enough shooting and psychic and whatever I needed to get rid of the models to get me the wins, which was just like, wow, okay.
And it worked for you this time.
It
worked
worked
well.
Yeah.
So I think we have a breakdown or some stats for
Yeah,
the
so
event.
we're gonna go to the faction breakdown. So here's one. So
This
for
is
those
actually pretty interesting to me
Yeah,
because I
so-
didn't expect some of these numbers.
So for those who don't know, and now it's on the screen so you can follow along, you can see Chaos Space Marines had the I don't want to say overwhelming majority, but
it's
the
a
majority
pretty solid majority
of, I guess, close to a quarter of the lists were Chaos Space Marines.
Which honestly, I didn't expect that many Chaos Marines.
Yeah,
And
but
especially since not all were Death Guard.
no, we had.
Well, yeah, there was a mix between actual Chaos Space Marines, Death Guard.
There was a couple.
Legion.
There was Alpha Legion. There was Night Lords. There were some Slanesh or Emperor's Children, I guess, or whatever they.
Emperor's Children.
Yeah.
What else was there?
Arnie's purple.
Yeah, there was a little bit of everything. So it was nice. So we had 5 Astra Militarum. So they took what, like.
And really, 5 of the most competitive lists at the event. If you look at the 5 guys who brought Pure Astra Militarum, they were tough lists.
They were up there, I think.
Yeah.
Then we had Drakari at 4, Adeptus Astartes at 3, Craftworld Eldar at 2,
That one surprises me.
Chaos Demons at 2, Cult Mechanicus at 2, Death Guard at 2, Tau Empire at 2, Dark Angels 1, Harlequins 1, Nids 1, Orcs 1, Blood Angels 1, Sisters 1, Yunari 1, Necrons none.
Wow. Oh, is that most awesome, Fabio?
Yeah, so the cool thing about ours is I found that we don't chase the meta.
No.
Like a lot of guys play what they play what they like, and if they can sprinkle some stuff in to kind of make it a little more edgy, they
will.
do.
Absolutely.
But
And nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, but as far as like
This is people bringing out their passion armies. These are the ones that they like.
yeah, so it was really cool to see how everything played out.
Yeah. I thought that was very cool.
Yeah.
So that was the breakdown. So we kind of, I think we've had, producer Matt has had best general on the screen for a little while. So if you haven't taken a look at that, Brenden was first overall by winning all 5 of his games and getting, I guess, 15 more battle points than Kyle, who sits in second. Eric from Branden rounds up the top 3.
Another very strong competitor.
So 4 wins and a
1 loss in there.
4 wins, a loss, and 122 battle points overall. Then William Shearer had a great showing in 4th. Mike Knutson rounds out the top 5. Then we have Colin Colin was our in 6 with the last of the 4 win.
And good
generals.
for him, because I know before the tournament he was a little nervous because he hadn't played ITC style before very much.
Hadn't played since, I don't think he's played it since 7th.
Yeah.
So he's...
he did an excellent job.
Yeah, he's pretty fresh, but he's a good general, so it certainly showed. Mark LePage, Ryan Mandrick, John Kilcullen, which is a newer guy, at least to me anyway, and Corey, another guy from Branden, round out the top 10.
It's been 6 months or 8 months now.
Corey played Dark Angels.
Yes.
Pure Dark Angels. He was basing the Friday night while we were setting up. It was hilarious. But yeah, so that's your best generals. As far as best in faction, if you can see it on the right-hand side, we got Imperial was, again, Brenden Crusty for obvious reasons. Xenos was Mike Knutson.
For obvious reasons.
For obvious reasons, as they were the top 2 going into Game 5. Adeptus Astartes was Corey from Branden, which is really cool. British, now Canadian West would be proud. And then Chaos was taken by Eric, another guy from Branden, who has, I guess, I don't know how much ITC experience he has, but I know he's very active on the forum and stuff. He's reading a lot and he plays a lot, so he is very knowledgeable. So which is good. So that was great to see. It was well-rounded, I guess.
It's nice to see the level of play in the whole province seems to be pulling up.
Yeah.
Like the guys who come from
just
Branden,
in terms of gaming more in general.
Yes, absolutely.
But so let's go to best in show. Producer Matt, if you please. Cool. So
ignore the bottom of this list.
Best. So we can talk about Kyle, but that's. So first we had Matt Posey. So Matt Posey had an amazing Chaos Night Lords army, painted great, converted.
Amazing.
Not a lot of conversions, but a lot of nice, clean, subtle conversions.
There's a lot of nice kit bashing.
Yeah, there was some good kit bashing this year. Honestly, the level of painting overall was leaps better than last year. The only thing that we fell flat on, I think, as a community, was our display boards. Last year there were some pretty cool display boards. This year there was less, but that's okay. Not a big deal, but just something I noticed. Second.
A comment.
Sorry, go ahead.
Matt, because Matt's a friend of mine from Edmonton. We used to game out there when he was first getting into the hobby. He commented on the level of painting that he was facing here, and he said there were a lot of armies he looked at, and he was really worried about going up against. Because for him, he came out here for the painting end of it. He wanted to win the painting prize.
And I mean, that's what he came to do, and that's what he did.
Absolutely, yeah.
So we got a question from Mark Lund in Branden about Jason Wells. Jason, you're on blast right now, my man. Yes, you're right. He went 3-0 on the first day, but if you look at his score, his total score was, Jason Wells, 3,128. So he lost his 2 games on the on the Sunday.
Between 11th and 10th, it's only 1 point.
Corey
got him by 1 point. And then John got Corey by 3.
Proud of that difference. He specifically went to tell Jason.
So it was. So I mean, I honestly just think. I mean, had to play Brenden.
Yep.
So that says something. And then the last game was
in the higher ranking of guys.
Yeah.
So there's no easy games once you're at everyone having 3 or 4 wins.
Yeah. So then he went into someone that probably had 3 or 4 wins. So I don't know who he played, but I could check BCP. But
it was someone in the.
I think he went 3-2 because he played Eric for his last.
That's it. He lost to Eric.
So then he played. Then he finished 3-2. So anyway, back to best in show. So second place was Steve Brown. He had a great pre-Heresy World Eaters army. And it was cool because he had the World Eaters and Imperial Guard, which I assume were Chaos Renegades or something like that.
He might have been running them as cultists if he ran them as pure Chaos.
That's true. Something like that. So honestly, the army looked really cool.
It was sharp.
It was really sharp. I think I can't remember the scores.
That blue and white of World Eaters though
but
always looks
white
good.
is so
his white is
crisp.
very good.
Oh, it's clean.
But I think what separated him and Matt was the conversion aspect. That second column, I think that's where
Matt had just enough points there to push up.
Matt took the edge there.
Because he's running the pre-Heresy looking stuff. So it's just like the MK, whatever, 3 Marines. So I know when people run the pre-Heresy stuff,
to his credit though, he did have some subtle conversion in there, and like they were subtle to the point like you would hardly notice they were conversions. Like they were really good.
Yeah.
But as far as like overwhelming majority, he just didn't have that. And I really think that's where he that's where
That
he lost
was
a
the
few
difference
points. I
between
think that
number
was
one and
where it
number
was.
two.
And then Kevin Nelson rounds up the top 3, and it was
Another
a
fantastic painter.
A point close. Like,
Yeah.
honestly, I really loved Kevin Nelson's army. It's a really different. Everyone else is very like dark and like weathered, and I think, Nelson has weathering, but it's very shiny. Like, he's got really bright armor. He goes with that Tigers theme.
Yeah.
And
His Tigers look really
it
good.
looks really good. It just looked really
That
clean.
knight
And
that he had in there,
the knight, yeah,
especially,
there's some
like,
nice conversions on that.
was really nice.
So yeah, overall everything's good. Like 4th and 5th, Ryan Mandrick, Sean Overton. Again, it was, a few points.
Was
I
the-
loved OV's
was that,
Blood
Wesley's-
Ravens. Were they? No, they're his own.
No,
They're his.
That is
Oh.
his Blood Ravens.
But it
They were
was-
gorgeous.
I-
They
oh
looked
God,
gorgeous.
yeah.
They're
And he
cool.
had
They're super
Gabriel
shiny, but
Angelos. I was like, yeah.
But yeah,
Like,
no,
way to
they
go,
were really
man.
good. Ryan Mandrick. Oh no, sorry. Ryan Mandrick was 0.67 of a point
Above.
back from Kevin Nelson.
Ah.
So that was really tight. But then even Colin in 6th was .226 or something.
I find
back.
it interesting that the divider between 17th and 18th is when you just get into the 20s.
Yeah. So our painting room is at a 60. So you can see nobody scored near perfection. Perfection is something very hard to achieve.
Yeah,
we have,
3/4 was the best.
We definitely we emphasize a third of our points on just basic painting techniques. One is on like advanced techniques, and then our third column is conversions, plastic card, putty work, that kind of stuff. So a lot of people actually don't do conversion stuff, and that's where a lot of the points are missed. So if you're looking at a 40, everything looks a little better. But that's kind of where those points are, and we have 3 judges. So Dustin, he's in our chat. Mary Roca was our 2nd judge, and I was our 3rd judge because one of our judges couldn't make it. And so we take everyone votes on every army, and then we take an average, which is where you get the decimal place and stuff.
Yeah.
So that way we don't have skewed results based on personal preference or anything like that. So that's how our best in show went down. Overall, it was really good. I've been bugging these guys because their painting is good enough to be in close to the 20s, to be honest, but they get lazy. And there's a lot of simple things. I think everyone honestly
Lazy
across the
or
board,
just
Lazy.
don't
No,
like painting.
it's absolutely lazy
content
on
with
mine.
where they are.
Absolutely.
No, that's cool. But anyway, all in all, painting was great this year. I
And
do
all
think
these stats are going to be available
Oh yeah, they'll all
on the
be on
40 Below Gaming.
the
yeah.
website,
Website,
Facebook
yeah.
page, everything as probably tomorrow. The one thing I do think actually affected a lot of these paint scores was the FAQ.
Yes.
Because a lot of people changed their lists in the
near
11th
last
hour.
minute, yep.
And people like Jesse, who sits in 37th on this sheet, he brought in some models to accommodate the FAQ, and I know he did. And they were I think they looked like they were just dip models, and I know they were just older models of his that he hasn't worked on in a long time, and that drastically affects like cohesion and stuff like that. So unfortunate to see, but I know that's kind of the way it goes sometimes. And when you're okay with that and you just want to go and roll some dice, it's the way it goes. So it is what it is. Best overall.
Very interesting here, because if you look at the difference between who's in the best general near the top and then where they rank in the best overall, it is quite different. And this really goes to show how important the paint scores, the sportsmanship scores are, as well as being able to play. Because our best overall was Noah.
Noah's their best overall.
Where was he on best general, out of curiosity?
23rd.
23rd out of best general.
yeah.
And he manages to take best overall.
And then his paint score was, where is he? 15th.
So 15th on paint and 23rd on best general, plus the sportsmanship that he earned, which was definitely a big factor.
Yeah, sportsmanship's a big factor.
I'm gonna let you know right now, I voted him as my #1 for
There
sportsmanship,
you go.
just because, yeah, he was a great guy.
I think you said 11 points for sportsmanship were earned, or 11 votes for sportsmanship?
No,
Yeah.
sportsmanship votes.
He might have only had like every opponent might have
Yeah.
voted him as his #1.
Yeah.
Not to say my other opponents weren't great, because they were. It just
have to
Noah
pick one.
was
You have to pick your
absolutely.
first, your first favorite, and your
Absolutely.
second. That's
And Noah was
written down
super
all five, I
friendly.
would
Yeah.
have.
the way it works is you only can vote on players that you played against. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense, right?
And
Like
then
you-
you're voting for your best buddy.
Noah
Yeah.
gave me $5, so I was like, that's all it takes, man.
But yeah, so it was
high
really
five.
good. So preferred enemy.
With a 5 in it.
So preferred enemy overall, I think it was, if I remember correctly, Noah had the most, but
Because he won
but
best
because
overall.
he won best overall, it went to second best, which went to Benjamin Gerling, which is awesome.
Yes.
A great guy to.
Oh,
and,
Ben's awesome.
Ben
yeah.
is amazing.
He'll make
And
you
he's got a
fat
great
when you.
attitude.
He'll make you fat when you play games
out for
because
those
he'll feed
Starbursts.
you
yeah, he feeds
junk
you.
food.
He
But
gets it like that.
Oh yeah.
And
stand-up guy,
and
man.
it basically it came down to there was I think a 6-way tie for second.
Yeah.
So it came down to battle points, and we believe that it's harder to be a more competitive player and still be a good opponent at the same time.
It is absolutely.
So that's how that's our
Especially if you're running an army that's considered like the bullshit at the time.
yeah. It's harder to be a good opponent. You have to be more conscious about it.
Yep.
And that in itself is a skill. So we
Which-
try and
Mr. Brenden here is very good at being a good opponent and having a strong army.
sometimes.
Some days.
And then
if those rolls go the
player's
wrong way.
choice by
Ain't happens to
actually
anyone though.
player's
right?
choice by a landslide, and player's choice is the players vote on the army that they like the best, and that also went to Matt Posey. And
Someone came up and
Shocking.
told me they voted on mine for that, and I was like, why are you doing that? Go vote for Matt.
so
You
yeah,
kidding me? I was going up to people. I was just
yeah.
like, "Hey man, I voted for your army. You better vote for mine."
That is
using intimidation.
That's our summary.
so that's
of
kind of the
Claims
summary of
War,
our
I think.
event.
Yeah.
We'll have a full
My
breakdown.
review as a player, excellent event, ran very smoothly. Brenden, as a player
Hey man, I
and as an
took first.
organizer,
Can't complain.
Honestly, overall good. The biggest thing I can say is I had a few scares with the BCP app. I hadn't put anything. I haven't done one with ITC since 7th.
Yeah.
So
okay.
so the layout was a lot different. So I inputted some stuff wrong. But man, I was on Facebook with these guys, and they were messaging me back within minutes.
their support is amazing.
Oh, their support is unreal. So like they really saved my bacon.
Yeah.
So like Kyle from Minneapolis or whatever came, or from Grand Forks,
Yep.
comes up to put in his score because he was the first one done. And sure enough, he's like, "Whoa, this is wrong." And I'm like, "Wrong?" I was like, "That is not a word I want to hear right now."
Yeah.
And he's
We don't
freaking
want to
out,
experience
but
that.
we got it settled. Everything was good. And other than a little bit of a time thing, we had to push some games back a few minutes. It overall
Technical
went really,
issues,
technical
but-
issues, but overall went well.
Considering in a 2-day tournament the kind of things that can occur.
Yeah, actually, my favorite part of the whole event was everyone getting out to BP. The majority of people getting out to BP. It
Yeah.
was just, it was cool to see like
that many people.
that many.
for
There
the
was like
community.
30 nerds
Yeah.
after a whole long ass day of gaming.
Still hanging out together.
Still have enough patience and
Hey.
want to
In
come
my
out.
mind,
and-
that is the sign of a good, strong,
So it was good.
healthy community.
Yeah,
Not a
that's
toxic one, a very healthy community.
3/4 of the people that went to
Yeah.
the tournament went out for
The
dinner.
only reason I didn't go is because I was like flat broke going home. I had like $10 in the pocket. And I
Hey,
didn't
that's fair
want
enough.
to.
Everyone's got. There's a bunch of people that couldn't make
Right.
it, and that's cool. It's
Right.
not. But it was just cool to see that we were able to
spirit
get
of the community.
Yeah.
we were able to.
I
get
gotta
the
say,
draft.
That's always nice.
Last year, my legs were killing me.
Oh,
After
yeah.
day one, this time I was like, I'm good
Chair.
to go, man.
The chairs, guys. You got to use
chairs.
the chairs. Use the chairs. Anyway.
So, as kind of a spin-off from our talk about Planes of War, there's always that post-tournament review you can do.
Yes.
Picking
yes,
a new army?
Please. No. Yeah. Well, hey, before that, if you guys have any questions,
Yeah.
or if you guys have any comments,
Any suggestions?
yes, yeah, anything.
Please.
please, we in.
Yes, let them know.
Right to the 40 Below Gaming page,
Yeah, yeah.
Facebook. We've got contact information all over both of those.
Yeah, absolutely. Please get back to us. We'd love to hear it. If you have any questions about how our scoring breaks down, we don't like giving out our crucial, how our information gets broken down, but we can kind of explain our thought process. And that's cool. We don't really have anything to hide. It's just we don't want to. Like, if everyone starts analyzing and figuring out ways to maybe crunch numbers to better their chances that way, it's kind of silly.
Yeah.
So we just rather not do that. But anyway, before we get into
The more practice is the one thing that I can
the
say.
bantering stuff, Keith Hall
Yeah.
on Facebook.
Yeah.
So new to the game, he has a good understanding of the game. He is a Necron player. Welcome. Good
Fabio
choice.
always needs more Necrons
Yeah,
around.
there's never enough Necron players. You have your first ITC one-day event in Regina.
Oh, that would be the one coming up at the end of June, I believe.
Yeah, tips
Yes.
and tricks.
Well, that one's a
Played
2-day.
with the list and spent lots of time strategizing.
Playing is
Knowledge. Rules knowledge for your codex is going to be the #1 thing, of course.
General rules knowledge for other codexes, like more popular stuff, more common things, like little tricks, certain units.
Yeah.
If you can catch it, like kind of get some Cole's notes on that stuff. Ways to speed yourself up, like have a play card with your
Yep.
rules.
If you need a little cheat
Yeah.
sheet, that is an excellent way to do it.
If you're picking warlord traits and stuff like that,
Yep.
make sure you know which ones really benefit your army in certain situations, and
Yep.
get rid of the rest. Don't let the flak
Yep.
cause hesitation.
We're back on Facebook. Okay, so let's continue. We're still going there.
We are still good?
We're still good on Facebook, yes.
Okay, well, we're going to keep going, I guess.
Sorry about that little bump, guys.
Sorry,
We had a little interruption.
I guess that's one of the
service.
risks you take when you're in a place with
Lots of games going on.
lots
the
of other
Wi-Fi.
games
Yeah.
going. So anyway,
Especially today.
so in saying all that, we're going to kind of jump into some stuff that we're kind of doing. So
Yes.
I understand Kyle has decided to jump ship on those pesky Siege demons for a little while.
For a little bit. We need some change.
Change.
Yeah.
Nailed it.
Yeah, a little while ago, last year, I had to sell off a couple of armies, so I pulled myself just down to the Siege Demons for 40k. I'm without an alternative right now, and they're at a frustrating point. So I'm going to swing back to the Harlequins for a little while. What I'd like to do with that is try and tighten up my tactics a little bit, because they're not a very forgiving army. They've got a lot of potential, a lot of tools, but once you start taking losses, as you know from your game 4 against them, they start falling apart.
Yeah.
So it's very interesting to try and take that challenge on to me and try and mitigate that. Also, they're more well-rounded in the sense that they have some better shooting, they have assault, they have psychic, they have fast movement. There's a little bit of everything with them.
Except, and they're even a little tanky, which is kind of
Which
weird.
is weird, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's things you can do like -1s to hit. If the Shadow Seer is within range, you're subtracting 1 from the wound rolls. Like, it's harder to wound them, so it's interesting. It'll be quite the challenge and a little bit different than what I'm used to with Zinch, but I think in the end it's going to make me a much better player for having gone this route.
So you've changed armies in the past,
Absolutely.
right? You've jumped around a
Absolutely.
little bit. So like what
I've
are
jumped
kind
around
of
a ton. I've done.
what are the things that really draw you to new armies? Is it primarily the decks? Is it primarily the models? Is there a good mix, or is
It's
it
usually a combination of things for me. It has to be appealing in terms of the models. The dex has to have something in it that appeals to me, and more importantly, it has to be a change from what I'm currently running. Zinch, I'm pretty much just walking bodies up the board right now, relying on my mass numbers and invul saves, but once I lose 3 or 4 key guys, the whole thing starts to unravel and fall apart. With this, it'll unravel and fall apart if I start taking losses, but there's more spread around. There's more guys for me to move threats around with, more threat ranges. And from the bikes having haywire to be able to take out vehicles with relative ease, a wound on a 4+ is a mortal wound, a 6 is D3 mortal wounds if it's against the vehicle keyword. That's relatively solid. Then I've got the fusion pistols or the neuro pistols in the boats. Looking at the soaring spite means that I can advance, treat the pistols as assault weapons, and still fire. So I've got a 22-inch threat range on those boats, and then the fusion pistols coming out. So there's some pretty strong potential in there. It's just going to be interesting to see how it balances and what I can do with it. I'm not going to be able to rely on the mortal wounds crutch like I do with Siege.
Yeah, both those mortal wounds.
Yeah, right?
And then I guess that's cool. I mean, hopefully everything goes well. I'm sure
If nothing else, it'll be a change of play.
it'll spice up your life.
Yeah.
As my good friend, the Spice Girls once told me way back when.
something Spice Girls.
Something 5-year-olds.
It's probably good to drift off on that comment.
And then I guess Brenden, we're gonna see you play anything other than Astral Tarot.
I don't know. Doubtful.
Doubtful.
I've been playing them since 4th edition. I don't think I'm going to be...
Dude, bring out the Grey Knights. I hear they're lit.
They get lit. I put them on.
Take out Paskin, put in Cotes. I hear it's pretty much an even.
It's
game.
legit. I'm good to go.
Too legit to quit.
For tournaments, no. I doubt. Like honestly, the guard are like they do everything I want them to do and then some. So it's like, why would I change up something that's good if I'm rolling with them and they're doing?
Fix.
Yeah, I've been having great results with them. Like at a lot of events that I've been going to. So it's like, why?
And consistently, like for last year
yeah.
or so.
Why would I go with something else? It's hard to. Now, like on a friendly pickup game or something, yeah, I got other armies I do like to play. And that's the thing, I wish my other armies, I could be like, okay, you know what, I want to take a break from the guard and I want to go play my Black Templars instead. Or play my Grey Knights. It's like, you know what, maybe a new Knight
How do you
Codex
like
that's
that
coming
new
out?
Deep Strike changes?
No, man. Like, I thought it was hard enough to make a Grey Knight army list before the FAQ. Now, with the FAQ, I'm just like, yeah, I don't know. I made a list, but I'm like,
really,
oh,
that comes down to my only issues with the FAQs is right now they're not used to the unintended consequences that come
Someone
with.
literally didn't like a game and they fucking went off the rails
I made a shift.
and made a huge shift, and
Yeah.
it was freaking
Yeah.
awful.
And then
it's-
it hurts little ones on
Yeah,
the
and then
way
it does
down.
a trickle-down effect, right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
So like the last army I have is getting a codex, which is knights. I do have 4 knights, so we'll see what that's like. Like before, knights just seemed like that
Man, I
one-off
could
thing
definitely
to
jump on
bring,
knights.
Arbiter,
and that's
a
so.
few armatures and that dominus.
See,
cost.
I don't
That's
have
what
that.
you
I
need.
don't have that small one, but I was hearing one of the knight things is like you when you take wounds, you like double the amount that you have, but like you don't actually double. It's just like you double on the table.
For the
So if you're like down to
effects of
7
wounds
wounds on your knight, it's still at 14 for the
Yeah,
table.
for the table.
So it's like that's the
Gotta
one
take it
thing I always
below
said.
3/4 health.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like that's the one thing with knights. I'm like, you get it past half, it's already shooting at 4s, which sucks when you only have four models on the table. But it's like now, I mean, I never really played a lot of knights. I wanted to bring them down to Hidden City one night, and I did. And like nobody was there to play, and I was like,
apparently this new big guy is around 670 points. You'll probably be looking in the low 400s for the regular knights.
That'll be
And
interesting.
the armatures are down to a more reasonable, I think 160 to 180 range is what I've been
I don't
hearing.
even have any of those. I just have
They
actual
were
knights.
overpriced, the ones from the Forgebane. They came in the low 200s or 240s or something
Really?
like that.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
they came in ridiculously priced.
Well, it'll be interesting to see, because honestly, that's one that's kind of got me entertained a little
definitely.
bit.
Well, and I can take them to a tournament, and it'll be the easiest thing I have to carry, because usually I got like my case of infantry, then my stuff for my tanks, then my case for my heavy weapon teams. It'll just be like one case, be like, bam, 4 knights, let's do this.
No, and
We'll
then I
see,
mean,
we'll see.
well, what's left? Knights,
What's left?
and then when Knights are coming out, then what's
We
what's,
need
what do we
orcs,
got?
still have
space wolves.
Space Wolves,
My
still
Death
have
Watch
orcs.
just got their codex.
You still have
so.
Gene Stealer cult.
Oh, yeah,
She's
GC
called-
cult.
Those are
and
the main
sisters.
ones.
Sisters.
Sisters, they've already basically told us
2020?
2019.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
And then
It's gonna be like a whole new army
chapter approved
release.
this year, there'll be a beta version of the rules.
Oh God.
So
Derek.
Wasn't there a beta version already for Sisters?
Well, no, there's Index Sisters.
Yeah, yeah.
And then there's going to be beta for
Then
the
they had
codex, and
chapter
they'll find
approved,
tweak that
where they
beta.
gave you like 2
And then they'll get a
stratagems
new
and a
dex,
relic.
and then 9th will drop.
Yep.
Or no, 8 edition 2.0,
But at
like they're
this
doing
point-
with AOS.
Right.
I
Sorry,
think
AOS
whichever one
too.
drops last is going to have just a giant release associated with it. So I'm thinking Orcs
Yeah.
is a more likely one.
And then they'll just have like, no, orcs. You think they wouldn't have
they
as
need
many?
a big update.
They need a big update, but they don't need a lot of new models.
I don't know.
A lot of their specialty things like Burnas
They're
and
getting old.
Tank
Burnas?
Busters, they're all fine cast.
No, they're new plastics. Oh no, that's
No, they're
Ludas.
fine
That's
cast. Ludas.
That's Ludas
The
and
Burnas,
Burnas.
I think the Burnas.
No, Ludas and Burnas are in the same
I know
box.
that their Tank Busters are like
Tank Busters
what,
are.
like single post fine
Man, I
cast.
remember when I made my
Ugh.
first tank buses. I used the ones with the big rocket patch
Yeah.
on the back, and then I had them all with look like big sticks, and they all had a rocket on the end of their sticks. It's just like one smack into a tank and it explodes.
That's pretty much
awesome.
what they're.
Orcs.
That's what you gotta love about orcs.
Good times with the orcs. Sold them 3 times. 3
Maybe
times.
you'll
How many
go.
times you can magnetize them?
Too many. Some jokes just never die.
No. No.
What are we at for time here? Oh, we're doing all right. What do we got?
Saw a post on Facebook about how important the first turn is. You guys think that not going first can ruin your strategies. They likened it to the player going first having full 2K and the second turn player starting the game with 1.5 due to being shot up.
It depends on the army that you're playing and the army that you're playing against. Because John very effectively took second turn in almost all of his games at the tournament and didn't
Yeah.
have a worry.
I think a big part of it is
I was
if
4 out of 5 of my
if
games.
you're-
I was bottom of 2.
you need
or
to
bottom
know
two,
your
sorry.
army well enough to have a strategy to go first and go second.
Your strategy should be for going second.
Yeah, you should always plan to be going second because that's worst case scenario. You should always, not be always so worried about, oh my god, I'm not gonna be able to shoot everything on my first turn because I have to hide things. You know what I mean? Like,
but even then, you just move it. Like, people are like, they want to stay stationary with your Lehman Russes. It's just like, well, just hide them behind things, and then just like move it out.
Anything moving, it's just a -1 on. It's just a modifier to their shooting, right? You can always
it is,
shoot, right?
But even the top gun of a Lehman Russ, like the Lehman Russ doesn't even suffer on the top gun, and then that's why I take the Relic of Lost Cadia. So it's like if I gotta hide my stuff in turn 1, I'll move it out, use the Relic, so I get reroll 1s anyways, and then I get reroll 1s to wound, reroll 1s to hit and to wound this turn.
Yeah, I think so.
So it's like I compensate for staying still.
I do think having top of 1 has a competitive advantage.
Absolutely.
But
if you're a shooting army, it obviously provides you a big bonus.
I'll tell you one thing, nobody was giving me first turn.
You should certainly be able to weather that storm, and if there's one thing you should be practicing, it's just that. Like, try taking second in
purposely
games
take
that you're
second.
just in just like random pickup games.
Put yourself in a bad position and
Put
see if you can
yourself
get out
in
of
bad
it.
positions and see how you can work your way out of it. See what models and what combinations work well to that extent.
Ooh. Yeah, and Negoglen on, I hope I'm saying your name right, on Twitch, he says going second allows you to score the objective at the end of the turn. And I'm not gonna lie, that was actually super helpful in my games because I knew how many units my opponent killed. I'm like, just gotta beat you by 1. Same thing with objectives. Like my second game, the center objective in our board was sort of like out in the open, depending what side you're on. I chose the deployment side where the objective was right out in the open for me, so if anybody went there, I could shoot them.
Yes.
If I would have had the other side, then it would have been really hard for me to get line of sight on the model.
And that's the other thing.
Deployment.
Yeah, deployment. Like, actually take the time to pick a side. I know in that game, Chase was a little surprised. It was like, oh, okay, like, you thought that the table was kind of, like, equal. But maybe after that, he realized it's like, oh, the center objective.
Sometimes you don't notice something.
Line of sight. Yeah.
It's really important. Like pre-game stuff. Actually, that's another one. Nick Nadavati had a good article on your pre-game strategy and actually like a lot of games are won and lost
before turn 1.
Before turn 1 even starts.
100%, absolutely.
So
comes down to something as simple as
for
deployment.
Sure.
Just how you deploy your models and where you put them.
The way you deploy, how you distances between models, knowing.
There's a lot more subtlety in those phases than people realize, and once you master those, it becomes a lot easier for you to win your games.
People discredit the setup phase far too much.
Yeah.
Because
they're eager for the math hammer, of course.
Yeah, there's still a way to be quick at it, don't get me wrong. But that just comes with always putting yourself in those bad situations and forcing yourself to
that's what practice games are for.
Fast. And that's what practice games are for.
Who cares if you have a perfect record in your practice games? That just means you didn't go against tough opponents.
You'd actually be better off losing all your practice games. I don't know how it is in 40K so much as like in just regular sports. Like I've always played sports all my life. Losing games, you learn so much more than if you win everything because you can never critique once you're winning. It's hard for anybody to say, oh, you need to work on this. Like, how? Why? We won.
Well, same with watching other people play. Sometimes you learn by observing. So you learn learn from somebody else's mistakes. That's another great way of doing it. Honestly,
I find the best is when you get the why would they do that moments, and then you have to think about
you have
why.
To dissect it.
You got to dissect it. Yeah, exactly. It's just one of those things. It's like it's easy. Sometimes it's just easier to watch somebody do it and think like, okay, when I'm in this situation, something as simple as like putting enough guys out in front to block your more heavy hitters from getting hit turn 1. Something as simple as that, like just watching how somebody deploys, how they do it, like maybe creating the layers, like something simple. And some of the Grand Force guys did give me advice on
the layers are
on having like a soft body in front of my tanks because people could easily hit them and then tie up my tanks. It was like good point. So I made sure to in my last 2 games to have that. It's not have my tanks as close to my infantry.
You have to have more than 3 inches away.
Yep.
Nagelin, I don't know why we bump a hammerhead with a water glass.
Oh my God, that is the question of the ages. Okay, personally...
Fun fact, there were no hammerheads at our tournaments, so we didn't have that problem.
Yeah, we didn't have an accidental hammerhead bump.
I think that he was looking at something in the future. He was trying to line up for a shot that he wanted to have without maneuvering.
Hey,
that's all I can see.
What could have happened or what you did are 2 different things, man. If it's a friendly pickup game, it's like, yeah, whatever, right? But when you're at a top table tournament, you can't be like, no.
And you can hear the impact on the model.
I still think that it's like, if it's a one-off thing, it wouldn't be a big deal. But when
There's
the
a
fact
pattern.
there's like a pattern, that becomes it. That's where the
As
issue
soon as
comes
a
in.
pattern
it's hard
becomes
to justify
established.
an accident when
Yes.
there's a pattern.
Yes.
That's it's as
And
simple as
I
that.
mean, a good cheater will be able to explain away any situation.
Actually, he wasn't even that good at.
No,
being
he
able-
wasn't,
He's
and that's
just
the
like,
thing.
I hate you. Like, he's like, oh, I was tired and hungry. I'm like, I'm sure everyone was. You know what I mean? Like,
That wasn't the unusual condition at the tournament. That wasn't the exception. Everyone was exhausted.
I'm not really buying that one.
No.
In my opinion, I don't know.
The way he's handled it and the way the tournament has handled it, I don't think anyone's looking
I
good.
don't
They're
think
all just
anybody
rolling
wins.
around in the mud, trying to deflect away
I
from
do
each
not
other.
think anybody wins. It's quite sad actually,
Yep.
but that's whatever.
That's we
But
talked about
we
it
didn't
last
have to
week.
deal with anything like that.
No, we had a few little issues. We didn't have anything crazy. I mean, time was still a factor in about. I think it was about. I want to say 20% of our games. Everybody else finished naturally, whether that be tabling, whether that be conceding, whether that be, going the distance. But otherwise, yeah, about 20% of the games didn't finish. Does that warrant things like chess clocks? I don't know.
no.
I mean, it's a very
When we
difficult.
were looking at like 70% of games being in that range,
Not
when
finishing?
when we were still at the 2,000 points, then we were in a bad spot, and something like
Yeah.
chess clocks was
Something
had
much
to be
needed.
Somebody
considered.
said, I think it was on
Where we're
Twitch.
at now,
Yeah,
Somebody
I
said
don't-
on the Twitch chat, like when they go to tournament, they do 2,000 points at 3 hours.
Yeah.
And they said that's enough to get through. I'm like, fair enough.
Or
Because
2,500
let's be honest,
at 3
this
hours.
game-
Still, that's
This game is
9 hours
front
of
loaded.
gaming.
This game is front loaded. So like, whether you have having 3 hours for 2,000 points is fine because most of the damage, most of the time consumption is
It's
still
in the
those
front.
first 2 turns. So you're just as you taper off, there's just more time for each round after the first. So I mean,
but 1750 I found as a player was an excellent point level.
I think it was fine.
I had
mean,
enough
you couldn't play with
toys.
as much bring as many toys, but I think you were able to bring enough. You still had to
but
work
I
on a
still
balance.
had enough, yeah.
And the time constraint was fine.
Yeah, I think the time thing, like we talked about before, just comes down to like maybe just talking with your opponent and be like, hey man, we gotta keep them aware of the time because when you're playing it, like when you're playing a friendly game, you don't really pay attention to time.
You
when you're
can
in a
chat,
tournament,
you can banter.
But it's like
Tournament,
getting through.
Everyone gets in that kind of flow, like you get in that like state of just like going through
gotta
your
keep
emotions,
going.
and you stop looking at the clock.
Yeah.
And it's both players' fault, right? It's just a habit. It's a natural habit to just kind of do that. But
don't time each other's turns.
I try and
But
you
yeah.
are, Nagel, you are on Twitch. We are going to be using chess clocks. Yeah, like let us know how you feel about
Yes,
them.
definitely.
It's definitely something that's been tossed around now, and that's probably like, it's either that or we
And
start
it's-
deducting
yeah.
points if you don't get to.
And
a
I don't
certain
want to
turn.
go to deductions.
Deduction
That's a
points would
rough,
really
rough
suck.
thing.
So we
Yeah.
really don't want to do that. But if it's something that people at least have in the back of their mind saying, I'm going to lose points if I don't continually tell myself I got to stay on pace, it might be a good thing.
And the rounds at
Uh,
Plains of War, they were six rounds ITC standard.
No, 2.5 hours.
Oh, 2.5 hours. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
2.5 hours.
But yes,
1750 points.
I
Six
had,
rounds max.
I think, one game that did not get to turn 5 or turn 6, and it was still a tabling.
But it was a table,
It was
right? So
tabling.
it was a natural
So
conclusion.
there was an absolutely natural conclusion in each of the games that I played, and I had no problems getting to that point with the guys I was playing against, even though some had some very model-intensive lists, some had some very, I really got to think about this moments. You can get through that. You can reasonably play out the whole thing. Like,
I know one of the guys there, Ryan, was showing me a dice rolling app because I have the Punisher
Yes.
gun. And I was like, yeah, I mean, I can see that if you do that. I prefer like actual dice on the table.
That's
as
fine,
opposed
as long
to
as
the
you-
app. But I literally have my 40 beer dice like ready to go. There's like
Yeah.
20
Yeah.
red, 20 black. I just pick them all up and I'm like, boom.
the GW Assault Dice app. If you're wanting to run a dice app at a tournament, that's the one to do.
Use that one.
It's a
Yeah, it's
physics engine.
official.
Otherwise, yeah, it's just like people
random
have
number generators.
People having all these random
Yeah.
colored
Yeah.
dice and just in a bag and stuff. It's really actually inefficient. Like having blocks at 12, different colors.
Knowing how many you
having-
have of each
yeah,
color,
Having different dice for different purposes sometimes can help. People that say like I'm rolling with this black dice for this white dice for this has the reroll and you roll them all at the same time. It's so stupid. Like don't do that shit. There's always tricks. Like there are so many. You could probably Google tips and tricks to speed up your 40K games. I bet you could find a bunch of shit.
Reddit has got to be packed full.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, I don't know. Producer Josh, what we got on time? I know we're getting close to the end. We got to wrap up soon. If anybody's got any last minute questions, drop them in the chat. otherwise,
We are gonna.
Brendan,
slowly
Kyle,
proceed
let's get our sponsors hit up.
Absolutely.
Brendan got the left.
Absolutely.
Kyle's got the right. Let's go. Boom.
Got Hidden City Comics, PvP Cyber Lounge, which is where we are right now, On Call Solutions, and aybonline.com.
And then to round out that list, we also have Battle Foam, Game Night Games and Cool Stuff, who did just go to their new location, and Northern Lights Terrain.
So to all our sponsors,
Thank you.
sincere thank you.
Very sincere thanks.
Thanks everybody on the weekend for running the tournament, being there to do the painting, everything. Takes a lot. The guys from Branden, I think, helped set up. You just gotta. There's a lot of people you gotta
Everyone
thank,
pitches
and
in.
It's always a
And
community
it's nice to
thing.
see the
Honestly,
community
just-
as a whole.
Yeah.
You know who you are. If you helped in any way, bringing something, taking something down, giving some feedback, anything.
Running for tables on Friday night.
Getting stitches on
Capes,
Friday while setting
clutch.
up, because my heel ate a door.
Oh,
It's whatever. It's funny, but it's all good. Yeah. So anyway, yeah. Thanks to everybody. We love doing this. We love seeing you guys have a good time. So we will continue to do it. So if for whatever reason you think we can do something better, please hit us up. Do not worry. We will not ignore you. We will not hate you.
we have a very good response rate.
We do it for you guys. So
Yeah.
if you're not happy, there's no point.
This is
So,
for the Winnipeg community and the Manitoba as a whole.
as a whole. So.
We want everyone to have a strong option of places to
And
play
then
games.
be ready. Next year, Plains of War GT is no longer going to be a GT. It's
We're
going to
gonna
be
be
a major.
Major.
We had enough
Major.
people this year show interest that I'm sure we can push to it.
Yep.
And then
I think I'll be the first one in Manitoba.
That'll be the first major in
Yeah,
Manitoba.
first major.
Let's do it, guys.
so with that, our next event is the Highlander.
This is going to be potentially August. We don't
Yeah,
have a
we'll give
firm
you-
date or
we'll give
points
you guys,
yet.
We'll give you guys all the details in the coming week and a half. We don't like waiting too long. We know people need to book off time.
Yep.
Save some money potentially.
I think at this point it's ironing out the final details for how we're doing it, and
Yeah.
there it is.
WR_TCH. Who are you? But yeah, guys. Any last minute? Anything to add? All right. Well,
I think that's
Nope,
it, guys.
I'm good at that point. I think this was a good episode. We covered a lot.
got a lot. Thanks for tuning in,
Yeah.
everybody.
Thank you as
Yeah,
usual.
thank you.
As always, we're here every Thursday. Look forward to seeing you guys out at our next event. Have a good night. Oh wait, we need to sign off.
Remember, if you're not rolling ones,
You're
you're cheating.
Oh, that's good.
Welcome back, Kyle.
I've co-opted that one for me and Thurston.
No.
Nice.